for being here.
Absolutely,
So
my pleasure.
folks might recognize you from the story we did this morning about choking. Jen and I both have little kiddos at home, and we were like, we gotta get some answers about a lot of questions that parents have about when you start feeding your kids solids. We're terrified of choking, so we have that story actually posted in this, so you can click on that and watch that and learn all the basics about how to save your kid if you think they're choking. What was the saying again?
If they're loud and red, let them go ahead. If they're silent and blue, they need help from you.
That was
That's perfect.
Yeah, insightful to me. I didn't realize if they're like coughing or gagging, if you can hear them, they're not actually
Leave them be.
choking and hands off. So yeah,
I think
as
we
Alicia
have
said.
to also introduce, you brought your kiddos. We already met one of them.
And they were a little jealous that she got to be in that one. So I've got my two back here, Sylvia and Gregory.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, guys. Hi, they're very well behaved because they
sweet.
got some snacks too coming their way.
Yep.
All right, so today's focus, we're talking about how to chop things up because there's certain things, babies obviously eat purees, but they can also start eating, chunks of things, and that's where I get terrified. So we have an array of do's and don'ts. I guess where do you want to begin?
I would start with first setting the tone for where you're going to eat and making sure that, number one, supervision. And no, we're so busy. We want to plop them in their chair, and now's our chance to go run and do the laundry or whatever. It's not the time. It's the time to sit and be watching and be present with them. Supervision, number one. The next thing is also having them be sitting. We have a rule at our house that we started when they were very little, and these guys can probably. If you're eating, you're sitting. That's exactly right.
Yeah, they remembered it.
Yeah,
Good
and
job,
kids
guys.
remember little sayings, and they love those things. So we started it really early, and it's something that we always say every time we're going to grab a snack. If we're eating, we're sitting. Because if you're sitting, you're not running around. You can't inhale something.
That's smart.
If you're
I
eating,
love
you're
that.
sitting. Yep.
Okay.
Sitting and supervised. So that's the start.
Okay.
Then the big things about
Hey.
quartering, it's such a much more smaller, manageable piece. If you cut it in a circle, that's the perfect shape to get lodged in your airway.
So as long as there's
circle's
some
bad.
ways air can get through,
Can
then
get
they
around
still
it.
might. I mean, I feel like these are even. I'm still terrified of even
I
this.
know.
But,
I know.
So this is good.
Smaller than
Yep.
that even. So that's okay to give to a 6-month-old. Okay.
I wouldn't do a 6-month-old probably at this age. I'd wait
Okay.
till you're closer to a year where they can really it's just all about the development of that kind of chewing tongue motion.
Yeah.
And that takes a while. And really, not until you're about 4 is when you're really good at all
Wow.
of that. I know. So we're cutting these things up until they're 4.
Okay.
And I know that sounds old, but I mean,
At that point, though,
you're
they'll
used
be
to it.
they'll be used to it.
Yeah.
You're used to it. They're used to it. You're just cutting things up till they're 4.
Okay.
Is it the same rule for grapes? You're just trying to avoid that
You're
oval,
trying to avoid that
circular.
shape. Yep. So
Okay.
definitely lengthwise for sure. But then again, I would quarter.
Quarter it. So
Yep.
quartering things is a good option. I've also read online, and this is even for infants. It was like they can start having soft cheeses and cube cheeses, and I'm just I don't think my 8-month-old can chew this yet. So what about
Yes.
cheese?
A big chunk of something like that, when they're really little, that's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for them. I recommend shredded cheeses, or even just taking your grater and with your chunk, just give it a good shred. Because these are little manageable pieces.
So a baby could eat that.
yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Same thing with your fruits and veggies. Those are going to be really hard until you get to that kind of 14, 16-month range. And even after then, you're going to want them to be a soft, squishy consistency because you have to be able to squish it with your gums, essentially. So a raw carrot, we're never going to give a raw carrot to a little one.
Okay.
You could cook it down a little bit and shred, again, with your grater. Tiny chunks that they can grab.
Can
So
you
they
even
get
give?
rid
So
of the little
what's the
chunks.
age range for the shredded apple?
The shredded apple, again, and it's all going to depend baby to baby, but if you feel like they can get it in there, kind of gum it a little bit, then you're right. And again, anything you feed them, if you're watching them,
Right.
you're all right.
And I feel like sometimes this is where I freak out and I start hitting my kid in the back because I could see a shred of apple, maybe they gag, right?
Yep.
It's
And
stuck in the back
they're
of their
meant
throat.
to gag. Their gag reflexes are great. They're designed to do just that, to gag, sputter, cough.
And to leave your hands off them when they're doing that is so counterintuitive to what you want to do it as a parent.
Yep, you want to touch them, you want to do something. So putting that hand out in front of their mouth is a good way to help. Because it's something you can do. You can be here, go ahead, go spit it out, spit it out. You know? Yeah.
Another thing I saw online, you give a banana and you can peel it a little bit and leave it full, but that terrifies me. So what would you recommend?
It's again your comfort level and how good you think your baby is with being able to kind of gag and cough. Having something for them to hold on is great, and then bananas they pass that squish test so nicely. So they
Right.
can squish, they can get in there, they can squish it around. And if you're watching them and it's too big of a bite, You can pull the trigger on that one. Like,
Right
hey,
out of there.
Hey, well, that's too big.
Right. Okay. And let's also talk about peanut butter. This is a big one. New parent, even because allergies. I feel like parents, and it's different from pediatrician to pediatrician what you hear. So what do you recommend?
Yep. You want to start getting those allergens in pretty early because there's so many of them, and you need to kind of do one and wait for a little bit before you do the next one. So peanut butter is great. Spreading it very, very thinly or mixing it in with like their oatmeal or their rice cereal. Chunks of peanut butter, big scoops, big spoonfuls of peanut butter are a no-go because it's so thick and chewy.
Do you
Very
guys
easy
like
to
peanut
choke on.
butter?
Yeah.
Yes. Be safe, but
That's what I did. I blended it.
I know.
Yes.
Okay.
so
we're not alone. Even doctors do it.
No, and
They're
if
just like us.
They're just like you. Exactly. So this, you're gonna stick it in your Instant Pot. You're gonna bake it, whatever you do with your potatoes, and then you're gonna again squish test. So if
Okay.
you're gonna give them a big chunk of it, like a long strip of it, thin and squishable. And if they can
Okay.
squish it, then you're gonna be
And
okay.
they
They can gum it.
grab it and bite it like a fry, essentially.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
But you don't want it to be crispy like a fry.
Right,
So it's got to
right.
be squish.
Squishable.
And then again with little ones, especially with the baby-led weaning, people want to feed what they're eating. That can introduce a lot of like salt and things like that. So unseasoned, seasoning's fine, but not a lot of salt, not a lot of added sugar.
Okay.
for your
Any
little
questions coming in on Facebook?
Not quite yet, but I had a question about popcorn because I feel
yes.
like that's the number one thing
Yes.
that you're told. I remember our pediatrician when we had our first saying like, no popcorn till they're 5. I'm like, are you kidding?
Yep.
What is the big deal about popcorn?
Hot dogs, grapes, popcorn. Those are the big three. Popcorn, it's got the kernels in it. It's just the nice, perfect size. It's light, it's airy, easy to do one of those with it. No popcorn.
Until when?
Until
4 years
yeah,
old.
that's the American Academy of Pediatrics recommendation.
So as an alternative, would I see this
Popcorn.
online?
Yes,
Popcorn.
popcorn.
kids
Yep,
love
it,
that.
it like dissolves. It kind of melts in your mouth.
Okay, it's like a teether strip.
It's exactly like that. Yeah.
All right, so the
No
do's and
popcorn.
don'ts of that. I do have some questions from, we got so many people on Instagram that had questions.
Can I just say one more thing about popcorn?
Oh, yes, please.
This is a really important one because this is what we actually see quite often is they went to the movies with grandma and grandpa.
Oh gosh.
So
Grandma,
Yes, grandma and grandpa, they love you so much and they want to give you whatever you want. And so make sure you're talking to the others in your family, in your lives that are caring for your kids. Popcorn is a no-go.
Because
Popcorn
it
is
doesn't seem
no-go.
like it would be that.
For example, a small piece of avocado, or do we give them the entire slice? Kind of the same idea with like, I guess
Right.
pretty much
Same
anything.
idea.
With
Yeah,
an egg
yeah.
or...
Avocado is one of those that passes the squish test nicely.
Sure.
So if you wanted to them to hold on to it and you're committed to doing the baby-led weaning thing, that's fine. If you're right there watching, it can pass the squish test. You're okay.
Squish test. That's very important.
Squish
I gotta start
test.
squishing
Squish
things
test.
more.
Yes, lots of squishing.
What else do we have?
I actually had one that I
Yeah,
thought
go
I had
ahead.
never thought about this. So if your child does truly choke and you successfully, hopefully,
Yep.
you are able to get that out,
Yep.
do they have residual damage from
Oh.
the choking?
No. The things you're going to watch for would be like if you're worried that some of it still made its way down, then you're worried about it coming up in the future, some like a pneumonia or something like that. But most of the time, if the food came out, you're fine.
Okay, there's no like scarring to their throat.
No.
Okay.
No.
Steph had a question. She said it's a debate in her house between her and her husband. At what age can we stop cutting up grapes?
Yeah.
Silly question, but I want to settle this
not a
once and
silly
for all.
question.
Not a
Not a
silly
silly
question.
question.
And the true answer that if you're going to do a multiple choice test, it's going to be 4 years old.
4 years is kind of the.
That's it.
That's
That's
like
the age.
the graduation to you
Yep.
figured it out.
That's when those oral motor skills, that development is in place. And for most kids, again, it's like your kid. If they're still sputtering and gagging every time you give them something, just wait. There's no hurry. Just keep cutting it up.
With Easter too, right around the corner, there's all those little like Cadbury eggs, these candies, these hard candies. I feel like with parents and like Jelly Bellies and jelly beans.
Yep.
What is the rule there?
Hard sticky candies are a no-go. A Jelly Belly, you'd really have to kind of push
Really
hard to
squish.
squish. Yeah.
So that's the
sorry,
four-year-old?
Yeah.
Or higher? Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Well, you're both 8.
Gadget.
I'm curious too, because you're busy. You're working in the ER specifically with pediatrics, so young kids. What is something you wish you could tell parents who come in and they're like, "Oh my God, I feel so stupid. Should I have come in? Should I have not come in?" What are you guys seeing a lot of?
Yeah, I think the main things I would say, number one, it's never stupid to come in if you're worried. We are always there 24/7, 365, that's what we're there for, to provide kind of that guidance, that relief, that
Right.
checkup that you need.
When you're
So
a parent too, so you understand the
Absolutely.
irrational fears that you have.
I'm never ever going to roll my eyes and be like, you shouldn't have come. Never. So if you are
Send
worried,
you away.
come see us. We're always there. The other thing, I think I would just really, really stress the whole being present when your kid is eating. There's so many benefits to sitting and eating with your kids. We know that, just despite the choking stuff. But if you're there, give yourself permission to be like, no, this is my job right now. Because I know in my head, I've always got those things running. I should be doing my laundry. I should be doing this. I should be answering that email. But give yourself that permission to say, this is where I should be right now. This is my job right now.
Most important thing.
Especially when you said they're quiet, that's when they're choking and you're busy in the kitchen. You're like, oh, they're
yeah.
quiet.
They're great. This is great. I got 5 more minutes. No.
It made me feel better talking,
I feel
going over
better.
the choking.
Yeah.
Actually, if you haven't watched the video, she has this hit in the back of the baby.
Alicia's got it down.
God damn, well, it's harder
Really
than you
good
think.
steps, yeah.
It's harder than you think. But thank you so much.